Hi friends, today we're going to learn how to multiply fractions by whole numbers. First of all, let's not forget what we already know about multiplication. Multiplication is just repeated addition. Let's look at an example of that. Let's pretend you have, say, a lemur, because everybody wants a lemur, right? And what's better than having one lemur? What about having 3 lemurs? Here you are with 3 lemurs, and what? To your surprise, you find 3 other friends that also have 3 lemurs, giving you 4 sets of 3 lemurs. Now we could always add up those 4 sets of 3 lemurs, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, but multiplication allows us to simplify that. That's where we get our multiplication facts. Just because we are switching over to multiplying fractions, the concept of multiplication doesn't change. It's still repeated addition. Here we have the fraction 2/5. I'm going to draw a picture here to represent 2/5. We add multiple sets of 2/5 together, we now have 4 sets of 2/5, giving us the multiplication problem of 2/5 times 4. Again, this is nothing more than repeated addition. 2/5 plus 2/5 plus 2/5 plus 2/5 equals our answer, which is so easy to add because all of the denominators are conveniently already the same, of 8/5. And when we change that into a mixed number, because we always want to go and simplify our answers at the end, we get a mixed number of 1 3/5. Now I can represent this visually at the bottom just by combining this picture of 2/5 together and add them all together. I will get the same thing. I will get 1 3/5. So here's the cool thing. When we go to procedurally multiply fractions, it's actually a lot easier than adding and subtracting fractions because we don't have to change those denominators to make them the same. We just multiply straight across. So numerators multiply by numerators. 2 times 2 equals 4. And then denominator multiplied by denominator, 5 times 3 equals 15. And there you have it. Their answer is 4/15. Multiplying fractions by fractions is really quite simple. However, procedurally multiplying a fraction by a whole number requires an extra step. You actually have to change the whole number into a fraction, and then the rest is just easy. However, what fraction could we use to represent 5 that wouldn't change the value of 5? Well, let's think. We have 3 options. We know that the fraction bar represents a division problem, so the numerator is actually being divided by the denominator. So our first option is to use 1 and make 1/5, and that means we would be dividing 1 by 5. Our second option is to put 5 over 5, because we're not going to add any other numbers into it, and that would mean you're dividing 5 divided by 5. The third option is putting 5 over 1, and that means you're dividing 5 divided by 1. Only one of these division problems will give you a quotient that has the same value of the 5. If I take 1 divided by 5, I'm going to get 2/10. If I take 5 divided by 5, I'm going to get 1. And if I take 5 divided by 1, I'm going to get 5. A fraction that will not change the value of my 5 is putting 5 over 1. Anytime you want to change a whole number into a fraction, that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to put it over 1. Once I've changed 5 into 5 over 1, the rest is pretty easy. I go back to multiplying numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. So when I multiply 2 times 5, I'm going to get 10. And when I multiply 3 times 1, I'm going to get 3. And then, of course, I want to change this into a mixed number. And I can get 3 groups of 3 out of 10 with 1 left over, giving me the fraction or mixed number 3 1/3. Let's try another one. Here I have the fraction 3/7, and I'm multiplying it by 4. All I'm going to do is change that 4 into a fraction by putting it over 1. And now I can just multiply 3 times 4 and get 12, and then multiply 7 times 1 and get 7, giving me the improper fraction of 12/7. When I go to change this to a mixed number, all I do is solve that division problem, 12 divided by 7. I would get one group of 7 out of 12, leaving me with the remainder of 5, which is my new numerator, and the denominator stays the same, giving me the mixed number of 1 and 5/7. Now it's time for you to do one on your own. Pause the video and solve the problem. When you think you have the correct answer, unpause the video to check your answer. Hopefully you've had a chance to solve the problem because we're about to go over it. So the first thing that you would have to do when multiplying 5, 6 times 2 is to change that 2 into a fraction. The fraction we would change it to is 2 over 1. Then I can multiply straight across. 5 times 2 is 10, and 6 times 1 is 6, giving me the improper fraction of 10/6. Changing that to a mixed number, I would get 1 and 4/6, and I can simplify 4/6 into the lower form of 1 and 2/3. Let's try another one. Here we go again. We're going to be multiplying 3/4 times 6, so I'm going to tell you to pause the video and solve the problem, and when you think you have the correct answer, then go ahead and unpause the video. Now we're going to solve it, so hopefully you had a chance to solve the problem. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change 6 into 6 over 1, and then I can multiply straight across. 3 times 6 equals 18, and 4 times 1 equals 4. When I change that improper fraction into a mixed number, I get 4 groups of 4 out of 18 with 2 left over, giving me 4 and 2/4, which can be simplified down to 4 and 1/2. Let's review. When multiplying fractions by whole numbers, the first thing we have to do is change the whole number to a fraction. In this case, I'm going to change 3 to 3 over 1. The second thing I need to do is to multiply straight across. So again, here I'm going to multiply 5 times 3 equals 15, and 8 times 1 equals 8, giving me the fraction, or the improper fraction, 15/8. The last thing I'm going to do is simplify my fraction if possible, and in this case I can get one group of 8 out of 15, and I have 7 left over, giving me the new mixed number of 1 and 7/8. Remember, if you get stranded or lost, don't forget what you already know. You know that multiplication is repeated addition, so you could just take that original fraction of 5/8 and add it by itself 3 times, giving you the same answer of 15/8 and 1 and 7/8. In this lesson, I'm hoping that you learned how to multiply fractions by whole numbers. Join me next time.